Imagine finding a loan, right? And it promises these really low monthly payments. Almost sounds too good to be true.
Yeah, sounds
You
great.
get the money, enjoy whatever you bought, and your budget, well, it barely feels it.
Hmm.
But what if those low payments were just, a tiny glimpse, just the start of something much, much bigger financially kind of looming down the road?
Right, like a hidden cost.
Exactly. Welcome back to the deep dive. We're here to cut through the noise, get straight to the insights you need.
Yep.
And today, we're taking a deep dive into something called balloon loans. Now, these aren't your everyday standard loans.
No, definitely not.
They're specific, can seem incredibly appealing on the surface anyway, but they have these unique structures and, well, significant risks, often hidden risks.
And our mission today really is to peel back the layers on these fascinating, but sometimes, yeah, perilous financial tools. We'll get into their core mechanics.
How they work.
Right, how they actually differ from traditional loans, which is key. And reveal the crucial things every potential borrower absolutely needs to grasp.
So you walk away really understanding them.
Exactly. You'll know not just what a balloon loan is, but really understand why it demands serious financial foresight, real planning.
Okay. And to help us navigate this whole area, we've pulled together insights from, well, a stack of sources, everything from detailed borrower's guides, financial primers.
Expert analyses too, right?
Yeah.
From housing, commercial loan
Yeah,
markets.
exactly. We're sifting through all that to bring you the clearest, most actionable picture we possibly can.
Good stuff.
Okay, so let's unpack this. What exactly makes a loan a balloon loan? What gives it that name?
Well, it really hinges on one defining feature,
Yeah.
a single kind of monumental event right at the end of the term.
Okay.
And that's a large lump sum payment, this final payment, which, yeah, can be a real shock if you're not ready, is literally called the balloon payment. It's sort of the moment the true cost of those initial low payments comes crashing down.
Right, it inflates at the end. Got it.
Precisely. And an intriguing detail from our analysis is just how widespread these actually are. Many might think they're just for commercial real estate or maybe niche mortgages.
Yeah, I kind of thought that.
But you actually find balloon structures in car loans too, even some personal financing deals. So it's not just a niche thing. It's pretty common, though often misunderstood, across different lending sectors.
Okay, but what makes them so appealing then? I mean, on the surface,
Yeah.
how do they hook people in?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah, our deep dive shows this. It's often that too good to be true monthly payment. That's what grabs your attention.
Right.
Our sources, they highlight how attractive they are to what they actually call uninformed consumers. Yeah, precisely because of those affordable monthly payments, that low sticker price month to month. It can be incredibly tempting when you're trying to, stretch your budget today.
Well, that immediately brings up the question, doesn't it?
Mm.
Why is that initial appeal potentially so misleading?
Yeah, what's the catch?
The sources, they clearly give a crucial warning. This seemingly low payment is just the tip of the iceberg. It's masking a much, much larger obligation that, well, you're deferring, not really reducing.
Ah, okay.
It really sets the stage for what we need to understand next about their hidden structure, a structure that basically pushes the bulk of the repayment way off into the future.
Okay, so how do these surprisingly low initial payments actually happen? How are they structured?
Right. The core of it, the structure, lies in this really significant, almost you could say deceptive difference.
Okay.
You've got a short loan term, that's the actual time you're making payments.
Hmm.
Typically maybe around 5 or 10 years for mortgages, maybe 5 or 7 years for commercial loans,
Shorter than usual then.
much shorter. But, and this is absolutely critical, your monthly payment is based on a long amortization schedule, like, say, 30 years.
Wait, so you pay as if it's a 30-year loan, but you only have 5 or 10 years.
Exactly. It's like setting your GPS for a 30-day road trip, but then finding out you actually have to get there in 5 days, even though your travel speed, your payment, is calculated for the full 30. It doesn't add up logically for repayment.
Okay, that makes sense. So what does that mean, bigger picture?
Well, connecting that, it means your monthly payments are worked out as if you were going to fully pay off the loan over, 3 decades.
Right.
But the loan itself wraps up much, much sooner, just 5, 7, maybe 10 years. So the practical result. Your payments are heavily, heavily weighted towards covering interest charges.
Ah, not the principal.
Very little actually goes towards reducing your principal balance. You're barely chipping away at the actual debt, even though you're making what feel like, regular, consistent payments.
Okay. And what does that do for your wallet? like month to month, especially in those first few years.
Well, since you're not paying down much principal, yeah, the monthly payments in balloon loans are significantly lower than traditional loans for the same amount borrowed.
Right.
And our sources also often mention they typically have lower interest rates too, which just adds to that initial attractive appeal we talked about.
Makes it look even better.
Exactly. It's designed really to look incredibly affordable in the short term, but it's absolutely crucial to remember that affordability is, well, it's a function of deferral. You're pushing the costs down the road, not necessarily getting true savings.
Deferral, not savings.
Got it.
Okay, now let's fast forward. You get to the end of that short loan term.
Yeah.
What happens then?
Yeah, the moment of truth.
Our sources paint a very clear picture here.
Yeah.
When the term ends, your payments would only cover a small portion of the principal balance.
A tiny fraction, often.
So this massive amount, often like the vast majority of the original loan, it's just still sitting there, unpaid.
It hasn't vanished, no.
Yeah.
It's simply been pushed right to the very end of the line.
Right.
And one point that really stands out in the research is just the sheer size of this final payment. That remaining balance must then be paid out once to the lender.
All at once.
All at once. And we're not talking about a small leftover sum here. It can cost tens and thousands of dollars.
Wow.
In fact, some analyses we looked at showed that balloon payments usually cost twice the amount of a loan's previous payments.
Twice the monthly payment or more.
Often significantly more than double just one monthly payment. Sometimes it feels like double the sum of all previous payments, though that's an exaggeration. But think about your monthly payments suddenly multiplying dramatically, maybe by 50, maybe 100 times, depending on the loan. That's the kind of jump we're talking about. It demands incredible financial readiness.
Okay, so what's the practical takeaway then? For you, the listener, the borrower, facing this potentially huge final payment.
Right. Well, the sources really hammer home the importance of rigorous financial planning. You absolutely have to plan to manage this final substantial payment.
Rigorous planning.
They do point out, that this is not an issue if you have the income and if your cash flow allows it. If you saved up or you can refinance easily, maybe it's okay.
But there's a catch there, isn't there? I mean, Our sources brought up something else.
There is. A critical insight, often overlooked, that our sources definitely highlight. Many borrowers, they plan to just refinance that balloon payment. Seems easy, right?
Yeah, just get another loan.
But they get blindsided. Blindsided by unforeseen market shifts, maybe a sudden jump in interest rates, or even a drop in their own credit score. That easy solution of refinancing, it can suddenly become impossible.
Oh, wow.
So it's not just about having the income now, it's about trying to predict and navigate, future financial landscapes, which is tricky.
So for many people.
For many, yeah. A borrower may not always readily have sufficient funds just sitting there to cover such a massive, potentially unexpected lump sum.
Right.
If your whole plan relies on covering it directly, you must successfully generate enough income in time for the huge amount. That takes real diligence.
And without that?
Without that diligent, proactive planning, the end of the loan term can escalate really quickly into a significant financial challenge. It could lead to distress, maybe being forced to sell the asset, or even default.
Yeah.
The risk here, it's less about the payment itself, maybe, and more about the lack of a robust, adaptable strategy to actually meet it when it comes due.
An adaptable strategy.
Yeah.
That's key. Okay, let's shift gears slightly. Understanding how these payments are actually calculated, that seems pretty crucial.
Absolutely. It's not just about crunching numbers, is it? It's about seeing that future obligation clearly.
Right.
It's vital for any borrower to grasp not just the final number, but the underlying mechanics that create it. How you get there.
So what's the core principle?
The core principle to really get your head around is that inherent imbalance we talked about.
Okay.
A balloon loan term is shorter than its amortization schedule.
Shorter term, longer calculation period.
Exactly. So payments are designed as if the loan will be fully paid off over a long time. But boom, the loan is called due much earlier. And that leaves this substantial outstanding balance, which is your balloon payment.
Okay.
That structure dictates how much you pay each month, and maybe more importantly, how much you don't pay down in principal.
So how do you actually track this? How do you see where the money's going?
Good question. Our sources detail that an amortization schedule is basically your loan's financial roadmap.
Like a detailed breakdown.
Exactly. It's a
Yeah.
meticulously crafted table, usually, breaks down every single payment you'll make, shows you precisely how much goes to interest, how much reduces your principal, and what your exact remaining balance is at any given point in time. It's the transparency tool, really. It reveals the true, often slow pace of your debt repayment and, critically, the size of that final payment you've deferred.
Right. Seeing it laid out like that must be eye-opening.
It really is. And
Yeah.
to truly grasp the impact, our sources often use a compelling example. Let's walk through one quickly.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
Imagine, say, a $200,000 mortgage. Interest rate 4.5%. Now, it's amortized over 30 years, but here's the balloon part. It has only a 5-year loan term.
Okay. 200K, 4.5%, 30-year calc, 5-year term.
Got it. Your monthly payment, it might look quite manageable. It works out to around $1,013.
Okay. Seems doable for 200K.
Right. But here's the striking part, revealed by that amortization schedule. In the very first month, nearly 75% of that payment, roughly $750, goes only to interest.
Wow, only $250 or so to principal.
Exactly. Only about $263 actually chips away at your principal debt. Now, that minimal principal reduction means that after 5 years, after making 60 of those $1,013 payments,
You'd still owe
you still owe over $184,000.
after paying over $60,000 in payment.
Precisely. You've paid over 60 grand, but knocked less than $16,000 off the principal. That $184,000 plus, that's the sheer scale of the deferred obligation, your balloon payment, often hidden behind that seemingly affordable monthly sum.
Man, okay, so tracking that month by month really shows you how slowly the principal goes down.
Absolutely. An interesting detail is that by carefully tracking this month by month, you map out exactly how slowly that principal reduces over those 60 payments in the 5-year term.
Yeah.
The remaining balance at the end of the term will be the balloon payment, just laid bare for you in the schedule.
Right.
And this also lets you calculate the total interest cost you've paid over the loan's short life. It gives you a complete and sometimes, unflinching financial picture. It demystifies the whole structure.
Okay. Which brings us back, I guess, to that warning.
Exactly. It brings us right back to that crucial tip of the iceberg warning. That initial low payment, it's designed to be appealing, no doubt, but it can effectively camouflage the substantial sum waiting for you. It demands really careful, realistic consideration. It's not just a large payment. It's a payment that absolutely requires strategic planning for how you're going to handle it.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener, the potential borrower, as you're weighing options?
Well, our sources state pretty clearly, these loans can be too much to handle for buyers who lack sound financial planning.
Sound financial planning being key.
Absolutely. It's not just about affording it month one. It's about playing and, frankly, winning the long game even when the loan term itself is short.
So you have to really think critically.
That's where the critical thinking truly comes in. Borrowers must assess if it's the right loan for you. You have to fully understand the total financial commitment, not just that monthly sticker price.
Right.
It's about weighing those undeniable initial benefits. Yeah, the lower monthly payments, often lower interest rates, against the really demanding requirement for a clear, robust strategy to manage that substantial balloon payment due at the end of the short loan term.
Yeah.
Our sources really emphasize this isn't a loan for the, let's say, financially faint of heart, or maybe for those who prefer to just wing it.
Okay. And without that adequate preparation, what's the risk?
The risk is clear, and it's kind of multifaceted. Borrowers, they risk being unable to meet that final obligation. That can potentially lead to serious financial distress.
Like what?
Well, it could mean being forced into a fire sale of the asset, maybe selling your house or car quickly for less than it's worth. It could mean facing foreclosure or repossession,
Ooh.
or being pushed into refinancing, but under much less favorable terms, maybe much higher interest rates, especially if the market has shifted against you or your credit score has taken a hit in the meantime.
So you're gambling a bit on the future.
It really is a gamble on future economic conditions and your personal finances holding steady or improving.
Right.
And, an often overlooked risk that our sources explore is how sensitive these loans can be to market fluctuations.
So,
Well, for instance, if your plan is to sell the property to cover the balloon payment, what if there's a downturn in the real estate market?
no, you could be underwater.
Exactly. You could end up owing more than the property's actually worth. Or, similarly, if your strategy relies on refinancing, a sudden spike in interest rates, maybe even just a tightening of lending standards by the banks, could make getting a new affordable loan totally impossible. Suddenly, you're left scrambling.
Wow.
The flexibility you thought you had, it can just vanish overnight.
Okay, so who are these loans actually for then, if they're so risky for the average person?
That's a great question. Our sources suggest that while, they can be dangerous for the, uninformed, they can be a strategic tool for a very specific type of borrower.
Like who?
Think short-term investors, maybe, people with really clear exit plans, perhaps someone flipping a property, or commercial developers who already have a sale lined up for when the project's finished.
Okay, people who know exactly how they'll pay it off.
Right. For them, the lower initial payments can maximize their cash flow during the short time they hold the asset, and they have a concrete, pretty much guaranteed plan to liquidate that asset before the balloon payment actually comes due.
So it's about leveraging the short-term benefit with an assured long-term solution.
Precisely. It's a calculated risk for them, usually.
Interesting. And what about the lender's side? Why do they even offer these?
Yeah, diving deeper into the lender's perspective, it's worth asking, why offer something structured this way? Our sources indicate a few reasons.
Okay.
Lenders might want to mitigate their own long-term interest rate risk. Shorter loan terms help with that.
Ah, less exposure for them.
Right. They also benefit from that higher proportion of interest being paid up front in the early years. That can look good for their portfolios.
Makes sense.
Plus, maybe for riskier assets or borrowers who don't qualify for traditional long-term loans, a shorter term might be seen as a way to extend credit, but force a reevaluation or full repayment sooner. It's a key risk management strategy for them, too.
Okay, so if someone listening is considering a balloon loan, despite the risks, what are the absolute red flags, the best practices our sources mention?
Okay, crucial takeaways here. First, absolutely ensure you have a concrete and ideally multifaceted exit strategy for that balloon payment. Not just a hope, like I hope I can refinance, have a plan A, B, and maybe C.
Multiple plans. Good point.
Second, thoroughly understand that amortization schedule yourself. Don't just glance at the monthly payment number, see where every dollar is going, especially how little hits the principal.
Do the math or get help doing it.
Exactly. Third, factor in potential market shifts. What if interest rates rise? What if property values fall? How does that impact your plan A, B, or C? Stress test your plan.
Be realistic about the future.
Absolutely. And finally, always, always compare the total cost, including that massive final payment and all the interest against traditional, fully amortizing loans. Don't let that initial low payment alone sway you. Look at the whole picture.
Great advice. Okay, so we've really taken a deep dive into balloon loans today. We've explored their mechanics, that alluring trap of the low initial payments.
Right, the hook.
The stark reality of their amortization, how little principal you pay off, how to actually understand the numbers behind it, and the absolutely crucial, often underestimated need for financial planning for that monumental final payment.
Yeah, we've seen why they appeal, where they hide their true cost, and really for whom they might or absolutely might not be suitable.
Definitely not for everyone.
Which, raises an important question, I think. One that goes beyond just balloon loans.
Oh.
Considering everything we've learned about the appeal, but also the hidden challenges of these deferred obligations, how might this change your approach, listener, to evaluating any loan offer in the future?
Good question.
What hidden structures, what deferred costs, what seemingly straightforward financing might you now scrutinize with, well, a more critical eye, looking beyond that initial promise to the full, true, long-term financial picture? Something to think about.